In the 21st century, overpopulation became an intractable problem, leading humanity to plan emigration to Mars. Since the red planet was not yet habitable, terraforming began, with the sending of moss and simple life forms, such as cockroaches. Years later, in 2597, the criminals Kamachi and Nanao were running desperately through the streets of Tokyo, pursued by the police. After a few maneuvers, they were surrounded. At that moment, a flying car landed and Dr. Honda got out, who had attended a presentation on the eradication of cockroaches for life on Mars. His assistant indicated that Kamachi and Nanao, wanted on suspicion of second-degree murder, were perfect candidates for the project. Honda took a proposal to his laboratory to go to Mars to eliminate the cockroaches in exchange for good pay and the oblivion of his crimes. The condition was a risky surgery. Kamachi initially decided, distrustful of Honda, but Nanao immediately accepted, and Kamachi, in order to stay with her, gave in. 2 years later, Nanao and Kamachi flew to Mars with a team on the Bugs 2 spaceship. An anxious Jean challenged Kamachi to a fight. The fight ended in a draw, but Jean claimed to have made things easy and tried to flirt with Nanao. She rejected him, saying that Kamachi had freed her, but Ichiro was thrilled at the idea of freedom. Lee ate bugs while Tezuka approached a loving Maria, scaring her by sucking on her hand. Maria sought support from her friend Osako. As the women passed by, Torimaru and Yashikane stared, and Asuka scolded them. Nanao then noticed something about the team. Torimaru and Yashikane were Yakuza, Asuka a corrupt cop, Tezuka a serial killer, Maria an illegal immigrant, Osako exploited teenagers, Ichiro a hacker, and Lee a terrorist. Considering that she and Kamachi were selected, she told herself that Honda only hired criminals. Jean, however, said he was just a kickboxer and that they were probably chosen because they were in desperate need of money. At that moment, Captain Dojima and Lieutenant Mina sent everyone to their posts as they were about to arrive. The landing went smoothly, and upon looking out the window, they noticed that Mars was no longer red, looking like Earth due to the terraforming process. Mina released a device with a chemical potential to kill the cockroaches, and Dojima split the group to explore the area and check the effectiveness of the eradication. When Asuka was assigned to work with Yashikane, she decided, telling Dojima that she would not work with a Yakuza, asking to join Ichiro. Yashikane felt insulted, but Dojima accepted the change to avoid conflict. After the team left, Dojima envied a drone that found Bugs 1, a secret probe sent by Japan 10 years earlier. The captain contacted Honda to show him the probe, informing him that everything was fine, which excited Honda, since the success of the mission would give him the technology to control the world. Meanwhile, the teams explored. Jean was surprised not to have found any cheap deaths. He and Maria continued, but when they rounded some rocks, they had the shock of their lives. 3 strange creatures with clubs were nearby. The pair immediately hid, confused because they had not been informed about possible Martians. Near Dali, Kamachi and Nanao also encountered one of these creatures. Kamachi tried to communicate, but suddenly the creature attacked Nanao, breaking her neck. After dropping the body, it fled at high speed. At that moment, Jean was found, informing that the creatures had also killed Asuka. The entire team rushed back to the ship and, after leaving Nanao's body in the infirmary, confronted Dojima, who had known the truth all along. Humanity had sent the cockroaches to Mars 500 years earlier, and they had evolved rapidly due to space radiation and extreme conditions. The creatures were indeed as cockroaches, now stronger than humans, and the government called them TERRA FORMARS. The team was furious at having been tricked, but at that moment Honda appeared in hologram form. He reminded everyone that they had sold themselves for money and that the surgery before they came was not just to breathe on Mars. The procedure had inserted insect DNA into their genes, granting them superpowers for the mission. After telling everyone to fight the cockroaches, the hologram isolated itself. Then, Dojima explained that in order to activate the powers, they would have to inject the insect cell activator. Their bodies would mutate, but it would only last a few minutes and they would return to normal, as long as they did not use too much, otherwise, they would die. Dojima envied all the information given to the team's suits, which connected directly to their minds. Tezuka found this amusing. The rest of the team was not happy, and Mina wanted to know why Dojima didn't say anything, and he explained that he had orders to keep it quiet. Some of the crew wanted to return to Earth, but at that moment, the computer warned that the cockroaches were approaching the ship. Lee volunteered to go out and fight, saying that after they were done there, they could come back and use their new powers to get revenge on the government. As Lee left, the others learned that he had fought in the Middle East and was nicknamed the Immortal God Lee. The The cockroaches would be nothing to him after surviving that. Outside, Lee injected the activator, which gave him the powers of a bombardier beetle. This insect mixes chemicals to create a small jet that simulates a flamethrower. Lee's body mutated into a mix of human and beetle and then began to fight a cockroach, exchanging blows with the same speed and strength as the creature. When the cockroach did not fall, Lee used his new power and shot powerful flames at the creature, severely burning it. At first it seemed like he had won, but the cockroach soon recovered and quickly killed Lee. At the same time, another cockroach jumped on top of the spacecraft and began to hit the ultra-tempered glass with its head to break it. It then entered and immediately killed 2 crew members, so Dojima took his injection and obtained the genes of the Paraponera ant from South America. This insect can lift 100 times its own weight and has a sting so painful that it feels like a bullet. Thanks to this strength, Dojima easily crushed the cockroach to the ground, killing it. Unfortunately, the computer detected a whole horde of cockroaches approaching the ship. Osako wondered why the cockroaches wanted to kill them, and Maria explained that it was because they wanted to kill them too, remembering the first time she saw a cockroach and killed it for no reason. Most of the crew wanted to return to Earth, but Mina discovered that the control panel was dead and the backup system was also not working. Dojima quickly came up with a plan. The team would go to Bugs 1 and bring back all the parts needed to fix Bugs 2 while he stayed behind to fight the cockroaches. Using the dead creature's pheromones, he would attract all the other cockroaches so the team could travel to safety. Some men wanted to stay and help the captain, but Ichiro told them to go, as he would be the one staying. As the cockroaches began to climb the ship, the team left, but Kamachi stopped first to visit Nanao, promising to come back for her. Before leaving, he noticed some strange threads coming out of her mouth. The team entered the rover, and since they had to get through a horde of cockroaches, Tezuka volunteered to fight. He took his injection and obtained the DNA of the Rove beetle, which can shoot gas projectiles at an enemy and then escape at high speed. When Mina opened the door, there were tons of cockroaches waiting, so Tezuka climbed onto the roof of the rover and shot gas at them, clearing a path for the rover to escape to safety. Back on the ship, Ichiro took his injection and transformed just in time for the cockroaches to invade. However, as Dojima fought back, Ichiro ran for cover. More and more cockroaches kept coming, and as Dojima continued to fight, he remembered the day Honda recruited him. Back then, Dojima had nearly ruined his career by punching a superior, but Honda had offered him to be captain again in exchange for bringing back an egg from Mars. Eventually, the cockroaches were too many to fight off, so Ichiro sealed the entire ship, crushing some of the cockroaches with the closing door. He then sucked out the oxygen inside the ship, so that all of the cockroaches inside soon died of asphyxiation. Some managed to keep up the fight, and Dojima never stopped fighting them, but eventually the lack of air knocked him and Ichiro out as well. Meanwhile, Jean asked Kamachi about her relationship with Nanao, and Kamachi thought back to what happened the day they were recruited. After losing her mother, Nanao became a victim of abuse from her stepfather, who made her offer her services as a lady of the night for money. One night, Kamachi found him beating Nanao and came to her rescue, easily disarming the man and landing 2 good blows. The man didn't care, as Nanao was still legally his, but while he was distracted, Nanao picked up the knife he dropped and stabbed him. Wanting to protect her girlfriend, Kamachi quickly grabbed the knife from her and stabbed the man multiple times to make it look like he had done it. Back in the present, Kamachi asked Jean why he came to Mars, and Jean explained that he had nothing left, as his only friend had died from an illness. Just then, the team inside the rover saw something massive approaching them, almost like a huge tsunami, but it was actually a gigantic wave of cockroaches. Mina pushed the rover through the wave while Tezuka continued to shoot gas, causing many cockroaches to be crushed against the windows. The rover made it through safely and they celebrated, but unfortunately they then saw a second, larger wave coming. Since Tezuka couldn't handle this one alone, Maria and Osako took their injections to transform as well. Osako has acquired the powers of the Okinawan weevil, which has a shell so hard that not even an elephant can crush it. Maria is a rainbow stag beetle, which has an incredibly camouflaged shell that fools the enemy. Once mutated, both women joined Tezuka on the roof and acted as a shield for him. This helped the rover pass through, but after crossing the wave, the vehicle flipped and crashed, knocking everyone inside out and throwing the trio to the ground. Suddenly, the rover engaged autopilot on its own and drove away, leaving the trio behind. The cockroaches soon surrounded them and within seconds killed the 3 without mercy. Moments later, the team woke up to find that they were on Bugs 1, unaware that there was a drone watching them nearby. Toramaru and Yashikane stayed outside to guard the entrance while the others entered the ship to investigate, but when Mina tried to run a diagnostic, they were shocked to discover that the ship's computer was transmitting data to someone on Earth. At that moment, they heard gunshots and rushed outside only to discover that Yashikane and Toramaru had been killed. Yashikane was a water beetle and Toramaru was a mole cricket, but they had never been able to use their abilities to search underwater and underground. Suddenly, a group of cockroaches came out of hiding, revealing that they knew how to use the weaponry they had taken from Bugs 1. Back with the group, Kamichi decided that they should fight and injected herself with a mutation into the Asian giant hornet of Japan, which is the insect with the highest number of accidental deaths per year. It attacks without warning, and unlike bees, it can sting repeatedly. With these powers, Kamichi easily pierced the bodies of the cockroaches, killing them without breaking a sweat. Jean soon decided to help and took the injection to become a migratory locust, which has the most powerful legs in the insect world, capable of jumping up to 90 stories high. While he killed cockroaches with perfectly placed kicks, Mina transformed into the giant Asian praying mantis, which has sickle-shaped legs that cut through everything. Working together, they managed to kill all the cockroaches, but as the fog cleared, they were shocked to see a pyramid nearby. Meanwhile, there was a cockroach watching Bugs 2 from a distance. Suddenly, it revealed that it could talk and had a phone, which it used to call Honda and tell him that everything was going according to plan. Honda advised her to stay away from Kamichi if he transformed, as his insect was ferocious. After hanging up, the cockroach entered the ship and turned on the oxygen again before pointing a gun at Dojima, calling him captain. As Dojima wondered what was happening, the creature's body split in two and revealed a mutated Asuka inside. She was a jewel wasp whose stinger allows her to control the minds of cockroaches. When she was about to be killed, she manipulated the creatures and made them fight each other. It turns out that both Asuka and Ichiro were secretly working for Honda the whole time. Asuka proceeded to kill Dojima and then threw some water on Ichiro, whose mutations come from the Central African sleeping chironomid. This insect never dies because when in danger, it enters a state of stasis and only needs water to wake up. Once Ichiro was awake, he and Asuka checked the egg they were supposed to retrieve for Honda, which was a second-generation cockroach. As Ichiro worked to reactivate the ship, Nanao's body continued to release a lot of those white threads. The activation of Bug 2 was seen by Kamichi and the others just before the drone revealed itself, being controlled by Honda. He thanked the trio for all the battle data he had gathered and revealed that Ichiro was the one who sabotaged the ship. After reporting Dojima's death, Honda explained that the Bug 1 capsule had returned to Earth and brought back a cockroach head. He approached the government to offer the possibility of using the cockroaches as super soldiers and was given permission to experiment on criminals because regular astronauts had a moral code. The real mission was always to retrieve the egg, not to kill the cockroaches. The pyramid they saw is explained by genetic memory, and the cockroaches are aliens who used humanity before moving to Mars, driven by those genes. At this point, Ichiro prepared to leave as he began to remember why he had accepted his mission. He had many siblings and a sick mother, but they lived in poverty. Ichiro had been working on important research that he could sell with his professor's recommendation and become rich later. Unfortunately, the professor set Ichiro up, making it seem like he had forced a coworker to have sex with him, and he was expelled. On the other hand, Asuka entered the project for the power. Suddenly, the egg began to hatch early, giving birth to 2 cockroaches. Asuka tried to use her power to control them, but it didn't work, as this second generation was even more evolved. As Bugs 2 took off, the creatures easily killed Asuka and called the other cockroaches to help. Soon, all the cockroaches on the ground shed their wings and flew into the ship, causing it to malfunction. As an engine exploded, the cockroaches inside attacked Ichiro, who quickly injected himself to enter a state of stasis. After much commotion, Bugs 2 crashed near Bugs 1 and the cockroaches attacked the trio, who quickly transformed to fight back. At first, everything went well, but then the evolved cockroaches from the egg joined the battle, striking much faster and harder. Mina was soon killed with her own arm, so Jean injected himself with a second dose that made him more insect-like. Kamichi did the same, and now the fight was more even, allowing both men to kill many cockroaches more quickly. Jean decided to take a third dose and grew wings, which allowed him to fight cockroaches in the sky and smash them against the ship. Unfortunately, the cockroaches kept coming and the boys were getting tired. Ignoring Kamichi's warnings, Jean took more doses, which would not allow him to return to being human later. He attacked one of the evolved cockroaches and stabbed its stomach with a leg, then decapitated it with a kick. However, he too reached his limit and fell exhausted to the ground. Kamachi rushed to protect Jin's body, but the other evolved cockroach grabbed his stingers and broke them both, so Kamachi's punches no longer did anything. Just when it seemed like all was lost, suddenly a glowing magical creature appeared flying towards them and began to spread a glowing dust all over the area. It turned out to be Nanao, who had transformed into a silk moth. She has the power to ignite moth scales into dust, which will soon create an explosion of dust. Jin pointed out that this was a sacrifice to save them, so Kamachi tried to beg Nanao not to do it to the point of growing wings and starting to fly towards her. Just then, a cockroach shot at him and set off the dust, causing a massive explosion. As all the cockroaches began to die, Jin flew in and saved Kamachi just in time, but Nanao died again. The explosion also made Bugs one shake and a glass of water fell on Ichiro's face, waking him up. There was a cockroach behind him that was about to attack, but Ichiro remembered the promise he made to his mother and violently killed the creature in order to survive. Eventually, Jin could no longer fly and both men fell to the ground. When Kamachi woke up, he saw that Jin had completely transformed into an insect, but could still speak. Jin told Kamachi to go to Earth without him and survive to honor Nanao's sacrifice. At that moment, Kamachi saw that some cockroaches had survived, including an evolved one, but they were quite weak. Kamachi punched the evolved cockroach, but instead of killing it, he decided to let it go. Later, Kamachi entered the ship and discovered that Ichiro was still alive. He called him a traitor and tried to attack him, but Ichiro pulled out a gun and killed a cockroach that was about to kill Kamachi. Reaching a truce, the pair found the escape pod and flew back to Earth. The cockroaches wanted to chase them, but the evolved one stopped them. Meanwhile, on Earth, Honda realized that Ichiro had hacked into his system to broadcast the truth to the entire world. However, Honda didn't care. He would just hide for a while and then find another government to sell his idea to. His assistant suddenly revealed that she had been working for the Japanese government the whole time and tried to shoot him, but Honda had a protective barrier that stopped the bullet. Then he threw a mechanical spider that killed her. On the spaceship, Ichiro swore to expose everyone involved in the mission while Kamachi said that she would make graves for her crew and then return to Mars. If you enjoyed diving into this sci-fi and adventure story, don't forget to leave a like. This helps us a lot to know what kind of content you like the most. To not miss the next summaries and all our updates, subscribe to the channel and activate the bell. And leave your comments and your ideas below. Thank you very much for watching until here and until next time.